Ann Coulter is on after watching the debate last night. She tweeted this last night. I just want you to hear. She tweeted, "I highly approve of Romney's decision to be kind and gentle to the retard." Now, Ann,
Hello, Glenn Beck.
I don't know why you would call Bob Schieffer a retard.
Well, a lot of people wanted more of the Newt Gingrich in your face approach, and I think a lot of us were surprised that Romney didn't go after Obama on Libya, that he said he approved of Mubarak being deposed, did not come back and really hit Obama hard on some of the completely insane things he said.
I really didn't want to have him hit hard. I wanted to take his tonsils out through his feet.
Metaphorically.
No.
But I realized at the end of the debate, only one man on that stage looked presidential, with the other one, Obama, being snarky and sarcastic. Not only that business about we have these things called aircraft carriers, but I wasn't sure if I heard this right, and I went and I looked it up on the transcript. When Obama, and showing a complete ignorance of foreign policy and Putin, you wonder if he's even aware what Putin has been doing in the world, selling arms to all of our enemies, former head of the KGB, wanting to go back to the 1980s. He sneers at Romney, saying that his foreign policy was from the 80s, and Russia's called, they want their foreign policy back. Does that sound presidential to you? I mean, that's hacky from 10 years ago. Even I wouldn't say something that hacky, and I'm not running for president.
I think if you were watching the two of them and you had no idea, and you would say this one is president and this one is some street fighter.
Yes.
And it really dawned on me last night that you're watching a president, you're watching a George Washington or an Abraham Lincoln or a Reagan fight against Saul Alinsky.
Yes.
I've never seen a president have his mantle taken from him as quickly as this guy has had it removed, because he lowered the office to an acorn office. Instead of the man rising up to be the president, he lowered everything around him.
Yes. Yes, it also suggests that Obama has seen the polls the media are not showing us, because he was really desperate and flailing. I also think it was particularly clever of Romney not to hit hard on the Libya cover-up, because, as I think I said last week, I suspect that Romney chose that precise turn of phrase, act of terror and Rose Garden speech, because that's what the Obama administration had been pointing to falsely claim that Obama had said Benghazi was an act of terror. I think Romney did it to force the media, even the New York Times, into finally reporting what has been happening in the Libya cover-up. So that's been quite well aired in the past week. And moreover, that's what Obama was expecting. When he was deprived of Romney attacking him for the Libya cover-up, all he could do was start talking about how we need more public school teachers and remind us endlessly that he killed Osama bin Laden, and then start babbling about Russia, whom he's already offered to make a secret deal with once this election is over and he has more flexibility. He really has no idea what Russia is doing in the world, and misquotes Romney.
But did you see?
Really
did you see?
Everything.
Did you see? Because I heard some people say on CNN last night that they were offended by how Mitt Romney was just pandering to Israel. But did you notice how deeply the president feels about women's issues, so much so that he was wearing a breast cancer wristband?
Really?
Oh, you didn't see that? Oh, he had a little pink wristband on last night, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
No, there was a lot of embarrassing pandering to him, and in addition to the endless demands, no matter what the question was, what is the greatest threat facing America? We need more public school teachers. But also that business, which was the same part about Russia called, they want their foreign policy back. He actually said that. He went on to say, which I think is strange, because I'd love it on all 3 points, that Romney wants to go back to foreign policy of the 80s, social values of the 50s, and the economic policies of the 20s. As you and your listeners probably know, but the president doesn't, the economy was booming booming in the 20s. The 1950s had a low divorce rate, little crime, no illegitimacy. And the 1980s was when the great Ronald Reagan triumphed over the Soviet Union. So I found that an odd thing to accuse your opponent of rather than having your opponent assert it. But I think what he was getting at with the going back to the 50s was another female pander line, like what Romney wants is to have you barefooting in the kitchen and have your husband beating you.
Well, that and segregation.
Yes, of course, because that's Republicans are secretly trying to bring back a democratic policy.
And what is the approach here? Because is there some sort of Obama internal research that shows that 93% of voters are teachers who want free contraception? What is the approach here? It's just they constantly bring it back to the same topics.
Yes, well, I think the last two presidential debates, and the vice presidential debate, and this constant harping on more public school teachers, it really shows that they're still trying to get their base ginned up. I mean, apparently last night when Romney made that snarky, or rather Obama made the snarky remark about we have these things called aircraft carriers, that was a huge hit with the liberal college students. I saw that reported on MSNBC. One of them was sitting with a group of college students, and they held at that one. Which one did Republicans like? The apology tour, where Romney cited what he meant by the apology tour. You went to this country, this country, this country, Arab countries, enemies of Israel, and you didn't swing back by Israel. And Israel noticed that. And then you said, America has had a problem dictating to the rest of the world, and Romney had that beautiful line, Mr. President, we do not dictate to the rest of the world, we liberate the rest of the world. That was the big line for Republicans.
Okay, so, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm not a woman. And
there's a lot of disagreement on that.
There is. Yes,
and despite the tears and the unusually large man boobs, I'm not a woman.
No sports.
No sport. Okay, all right. Okay, let's just go with the theory
Obsession
that I'm
with
not.
fashion.
Got it. Let's pretend I'm not a woman. And I don't live in a swing state, so I'm not seeing the ads. I think what Romney did last night was, again, call the president a liar without calling him a liar, because the ads in the swing states are all saying he's a warmonger, he's a hater, he's going to get us into war. And so if you're in those swing states and you're paying attention and you're just beginning to pay attention and you're getting your facts about who this Romney guy is from the president, he looked kind, he looked gentle, he looked like he had a different plan. He did not look like George W. Bush. He looked in control of himself. And he didn't look snarky. And I think that if you're a woman in a swing state, you don't want to go to war. Nobody wants to go to war. Right. But especially women, you don't want to go to war. And he has now made people say, well, I kind of like that guy. I mean, he was okay. He seemed to have the facts, and he doesn't want to go to the war. And the president, they'll never say this out loud, but again, the president gave me the facts on Mitt Romney, and he was wrong there. So how many other things is he wrong on?
No, that's right. And you're absolutely right. Women, curiously, basically since 9/11, foreign policy has been a much bigger issue for women than for men. It is an important issue. Women don't want to go to war, and Romney could not have been clearer, more sincere, or confidence-inspiring on that point when he said, we don't want to go to war, we don't want another Afghanistan or Iraq, and the way you avoid that is by having a comprehensive strategy, working with our allies, supporting our friends, and then you have Obama babbling about how we need more public school teachers. No, if you want to avoid going to war, it seemed pretty clear the Romney peace through strength plan is the way to go.
Okay, so Rasmussen now has Romney up by 4 points. He was the most accurate last time. In trade is down to now 60. And that's down from 66 or 68.
Yeah, 66 just a few days ago.
I think it's going to end up being a blowout myself.
I would predict that. I definitely think Romney is going to win. The only reason I shy away from predicting a landslide is, well, for one thing, as Yogi Berra said, it's hard predicting, especially about the future. But also, it's a different country than it was in 1980. If this were the same country, I would say it's a landslide. But we do have a different country demographically. Since Kennedy's 1965 Immigration Act, 85% of legal immigrants have been from the third world, and Democrats instantly scoot them onto some form of public assistance. They brag about this. We got the Democratic voters here. And, of course, Democrats cheat, but that's always been true. But one other in-trade point was, despite the whole media rushing out to proclaim Obama the winner of last night's debate, apparently immediately after the debate, in Obama's chances in Ohio went down substantially on in-trade.
And I saw a report this morning that all the focus groups over the night in Ohio show that Romney won.
I must say, I thought it was a blowout, and only by liberal line can they persuade people it was so much as a tie. I think it was also good to get a little extra focus on that Detroit article that Romney wrote for the New York Times. I instantly tweeted out the full article, and of course Obama was lying. Of course, Romney, with his background, his father being the head of an auto company, did not say that the government should not provide support. It just would have been a way to more honestly wind down a company and eliminate some debts while honoring others, and not just honoring the ones of your union buddies.
Why are you going to be in Philadelphia this week? I mean, really?
I'm very much looking forward to Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, man, is a place where you can duke it out. Philadelphia is a place where you're like, oh, yeah? You want a piece of me? Come on.
Excellent. That's going to be perfect for me.
No, it's great.
I'm doing a book signing at Constitution Hall, $35 free book. I'll give a speech, we'll take questions, and I'll sign your books.
Wow, they've never... How did you get Constitution? They won't even let me in the front door at Constitution Hall.
I think that's where it is. It's linked on my webpage for details.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot, and appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week, Glenn.
God bless.
Thanks.
Ann Coulter, author of Mugged.